I think that it's not unacceptable at all to remember the words of Martin Luther King in the I Have a Dream. When people are passionate about things, it's fine to dream. Doug Myers was passionate about how we treat learners. I first met Doug many, many years ago when we were colleagues at Dalhousie University. When I returned to Nova Scotia in 1996, I found Doug as the executive director of the Prior Learning Centre there, doing tremendous work that soon became very, very aligned with the work that was going on in the Nova Scotia Community College at the time. Doug has now retired from that position as executive director, but he continues to lead across the country, helps us with our thinking, challenges us to take things to the next level. He's now senior consultant for the Prior Learning Centre, and I'm delighted to introduce my friend and colleague, Doug Myers.
I think it's always a good idea to get the applause out of the way first, in case the speaker bombs. That's always useful, and it may be even more useful in this case. I'm delighted to be here and honored to be here, part of a wonderful conversation yesterday and one that will continue throughout this event. I'm delighted that one of the partnerships we at the PLA Centre forged was with the University of the Fraser Valley. And I congratulate Karen and Wendy and her team for the leadership that they're providing. Those were overly generous remarks about me from Karen and Patrick. I've got to say that the last 15 years in the work of the PLA Centre has been the most fun, the most exciting and adventurous period of my career. And I have learned more about adult learning in the last 15 years, after about 30 years in the continuing education field, than I had ever before. Several friends have greeted me by saying, "Ma, you're looking well." And I think I'm going to encounter this. It's something one begins to encounter in their 70s. It's the positive side of, "My God, you're still here and kicking." I am, in fact, looking particularly well, if I do say so myself, better than the photograph that Chris has of me, which is taken from an old video where I look considerably less white-haired, because my wife and I have spent the last 10 days punishing golf balls and enjoying the early spring of the Okanagan Valley, and pondering, I must say, the ironies and contradictions of retirement-based urban sprawl and alcohol-based economic development, i.e. winery, but enjoying both in the splendor of that setting. I do want to say that I'm very sorry that Mary Morrissey isn't here, and I hope you will have her back. I'm sure you will in this process. She has an extraordinary depth and breadth of background in social work, in public policy, and in mediation and conflict management. She annually teaches, and has for the last decade, a seminar in June at the International Business School in Copenhagen on conflict resolution. And it's one of the reasons I keep saying, as I have a couple of times in this event, let's be smart and strategic. Let's not just think that this is going to be a kumbaya moment, although I do think it's a moment of great opportunity. There are interests here. There are a variety of interests. Not everyone will see some of the developments that are happening as being in their interest, and we, I think, have to be aware of that. Mary, the PLA Centre was, in fact, Mary Morrissey's idea. In 96, when I was away on sabbatical, some suggest that my absence was part of the success of her idea. She managed to persuade the 6 universities and the community college in Halifax to collaborate with community partners, persuade the Minister of Education then to go to Lloyd Axworthy, who was HRSTC Minister then, to fund the PLA Centre as a clearinghouse and a support center for adult learners in transition. That hunch, that that initiative has proved to be a very potent one and a very prescient one. And the reason she's not here, I think I can share with you, because it is a demographic reality. Mary has aging parents in Sarnia. Sarnia is very hard to get to, amazingly. You've got to fly and drive. And she got there, and her father is having a medical emergency. And so, despite the wonders of technology and a new system we put in at the center, and various difficulties, I got Mary's outline slide thing about 10 minutes ago. So the original thing was Mary was going to present, and I would provide wise and pithy remarks. I am certainly going to try to be pithy. Now, just let's look back for a moment. How long ago was it that David Foote in Boom, Bust, and Echo told us we'd be where we are today? His comment then was, you want to see what's coming next, move the graph 10 years to the right. Well, we're discovering now, with a year or two of leeway, that the crisis he talked about, the demographic situation he talked about, is upon us. How long has it been since David Livingston and his colleagues mapped the hidden iceberg of adult learning in this country? The resources below the surface that we don't pay attention to, of people who are marginalized and sometimes excluded from active participation in the workforce and in the society. How long has it been, Bonnie Kennedy, at CAPLA? Is it 4 or 5 years ago that Michael Bloom from the conference board addressed one of the CAPLA national conferences by saying, hang on, PLAR folks, employers don't yet realize that you are part of the solution to their HR problems, which are only going to grow over the next few years. Yesterday's planning, one of the questions that came up in yesterday's planning discussion was, well, why is it going to work this time? It was, as somebody's already said, Wendy, that BC was regarded as a leader in the mid-'90s. So why is it going to work this time? Because it didn't quite work the last time. And Jonathan Rouse, I thought, eloquently provided the answer. We're in a very different situation than we were 10 years ago, and in a situation that is much more relevant to PLAR in all its manifestations than it was before. Now, before I say